Lü Bang still harbored the intention of changing the crown prince. Lü Zhi was alarmed and at a loss as to what to do. Someone advised her, saying, Zhang Liang is skilled at devising strategies, and he has always been highly trusted by His Majesty. So Lü Zhi asked her elder brother, Marquis of Jianqing, Lü Zhi, to seek out Zhang Liang, who was then wandering across the land. She said to him, as a favored minister of His Majesty, when the emperor intends to replace the crown prince, how can you remain indifferent and sleep soundly at night? Zhang Liang replied, in the past, when His Majesty was repeatedly in danger, he adopted my strategies. Now the empire is at peace, and the emperor wishes to change the crown prince. This is a matter within his own family. Even if there were 100 men like me, it would still be of no use. Lü Zhi pressed him urgently, no matter what, you must come up with a solution for me. Zhang Liang replied, this is not something that can be resolved merely through argument. There are certain worthy men whom His Majesty has long wished to recruit but has been unable to, for such men, known as the 4 graybeards of Shang Mountain. They are all elderly, and because of the emperor's arrogance and disdain toward others, they refuse to serve the Han. Yet the emperor himself regards them as lofty recluses. If you are willing to spare no expense of gold, treasures, and fine silks, and have the crown prince personally write a letter in a tone that is earnest and humble, then send a comfortable carriage along with eloquent envoys to entreat them sincerely, you should be able to win them over. Once they arrive, treat them with the courtesy due honored guests, and have them accompany the crown prince whenever he enters court. When the emperor sees this, he will surely inquire about it, then you may explain everything to His Majesty. So Lü Zhi had people deliver the crown prince's letter, together with generous gifts and humble words, to invite the 4 men. The 4 graybeards eventually came and took up residence as guests in Lü Zhi's, Marquis of Jianqing's, household. In 196 BC, King Yingbu of Huainan rebelled. Because of illness, Lü Bang did not wish to lead troops himself and wanted to appoint the crown prince, Lü Ying, as general to campaign against Yingbu. When the 4 graybeards of Shang Mountain learned of this, they shared the same concern. We came precisely to secure the crown prince's position. If the crown prince personally leads troops into battle, the situation will become dangerous. So they went to see Lü Zhi and said to him, if the crown prince leads the army, even if he succeeds, it will not add any benefit to his standing as heir, but if he fails, it will bring him great harm. Moreover, the troops and generals assigned to the crown prince are all fierce commanders who once followed His Majesty in conquering the realm. To have the crown prince lead them is no different from a sheep leading a pack of wolves. They will surely not give their full effort, and in such a campaign there can be no success. We have also heard that a mother always holds dearest the son she favors most. Now, Lady Qi serves His Majesty day and night, while Lü Rui often sits upon His Majesty's lap. The emperor has even said, I will never allow an unworthy son to stand above my beloved one. This clearly shows that he intends to depose the crown prince. You must quickly have the empress tell the emperor this. Yingbu is a formidable general, unmatched in the art of war. The soldiers and commanders now are all His Majesty's old comrades. To place the crown prince in command of them is like sending a sheep to drive wolves. If Yingbu hears of this, he will surely be emboldened and press his attack westward. Though His Majesty is ill, he can still lie in a command carriage and oversee the army. In this way, the great generals will not dare hold back their efforts. His Majesty may suffer hardship himself, but he will thereby preserve the safety of his wife and children. Lü Zhi entered the palace to see Lü Zhi, and Lü Zhi went before Lü Bang. Following the advice of the 4 graybeards of Shang Mountain, she wept bitterly as she pleaded with him. Lü Bang cursed, saying, I knew this boy would be of no use. I'll go myself. Thus, Lü Bang personally led the army on campaign. After Lü Bang defeated and destroyed Yingbu and returned to Chang'an, his illness grew worse, and his desire to replace the crown prince became even stronger. Zhang Liang tried to remonstrate with him, but Lü Bang remained unmoved. In the end, the 4 graybeards of Shang Mountain persuaded Lü Bang through their actions. At one banquet, the 4 graybeards, already in their 80s, accompanied Crown Prince Lü Ying to the feast. This greatly surprised Lü Bang, who realized that the crown prince already had strong support and that attempting to replace him might plunge the political situation into turmoil. From then on, the position of Crown Prince Lü Ying was essentially secure. On June 1, 195 BC, Lü Bang passed away, and his 16-year-old son Lü Ying inherited the throne. However, Lü Zhi still kept the news of his death secret. Empress Lü, in consultation with her favored minister Ji, said, "The generals were once commoners, just like the emperor. Now they bow northward in submission, and for this they are often resentful and discontent. Now that they must serve a young ruler, they will be even more displeased. Unless these men and their clans are completely eradicated, the empire will never be at peace." When Li Shang, Marquis of Suzhou and a founding general of the Western Han, heard the news, he was greatly alarmed. He immediately went to see Ji and said, "I have heard that the emperor has already passed away, yet the empress dowager has withheld the mourning announcement for 4 days. She intends to execute the generals. If this is true, the empire is in grave danger." Chen Ping and Guanning command 100,000 troops stationed at Xinjiang, while Fan Kuai and Zhou Bo command 200,000 troops in the pacification of Yan and Dai. If they hear that the emperor has died and that the generals are all to be killed, they will surely unite their forces and march back to attack Guangzhou. With ministers rebelling within and feudal lords rising in revolt without, the downfall of the empire would be only a matter of time. Ji conveyed these words to the Empress Dowager in the palace. With no other choice, Empress Lü announced the emperor's death, proclaimed a general amnesty, and thus avoided a massive bloodbath. The meritorious veteran ministers who had followed Emperor Gaozu of Han, Lü Bang, in conquering the realm temporarily escaped slaughter at the hands of Lü Zhi. But the favored concubines who had shared Lü Bang's bed, such as Lady Qi, were not so fortunate. All of them were imprisoned by Lü Zhi and forbidden to leave the palace. In the end, most were still cruelly tortured to death. Even members of the imperial Lü clan, and even imperial grandsons of Lü Zhi's own bloodline, could not escape disaster. What was it that turned a once kind, filial, and uncomplaining young maiden into a cold-blooded, inhumanly cruel woman? The ancient Chinese philosopher Mencius of the Warring States period said, "The feeling of compassion is present in everyone." This means that all people have sympathy and pity for the misfortunes of others. This is a manifestation of human kindness, and such kindness originates from the filial affection that existed among humanity's earliest ancestors. The existence of filial devotion gave rise to the family. And it was through the interactions of kind and loving families that the earliest human societies were formed. Just imagine, if the families of our ancestors had delighted in conflict, how could they have interacted with one another and lived together to form the earliest human communities? If, among our ancestors, the younger generation had not been filial to their parents, if they had abandoned their parents in old age when they could no longer search for food, leaving them to starve in the wilderness and be eaten by wild beasts, would humanity's earliest families ever have come into existence? The existence of filial devotion led humanity's ancestors to establish families, where 2 or even 3 generations lived together. Familial affection ensured that they would not easily separate due to a lack of food or other hardships. Everyone was united by these family bonds, working diligently and taking responsibility. Through their children and grandchildren, they could continuously pass down knowledge and skills from one generation to the next, accumulating, enriching, and advancing their culture. Humanity's ancestors thereby accelerated their evolutionary progress and became the rulers of the earth. The opening lines of the ancient Chinese children's educational text 3-character classic say, "At the beginning, human nature is fundamentally good. Natures are similar, but habits make them different." This means that people are born inherently good, and their temperaments are initially similar. However, as each person experiences different living environments and influences, their habits gradually diverge. Lü Zhi, born into a wealthy family and well-educated in Confucian culture, was originally a kind, filial, and innocent young girl. Yet she lived in a war-torn, autocratic society, and faced with its harsh realities, she had little choice in many matters. In her early years, her husband Lü Bang was a ruffian with no sense of family values or principles. Lü Zhi not only had to care for Lü Bang's parents, raise their own 2 children, and look after Lü Bang's illegitimate son Lü Fei, but she also had to work in the fields. Throughout all this, she remained diligent and uncomplaining. After Lü Bang embarked on his path to seize kingship and power, he suffered defeat at the hands of Xiong Yu. Lü Zhi fled with Liu Bang's parents, enduring countless hardships, only to be captured by Xiong Yu and held as a hostage in prison, where she endured severe suffering. These difficult life experiences shaped Lü Zhi into a mature, strong, and independent woman. When all the hardships and suffering finally passed, Liu Bang defeated Xiong Yu, became emperor, and elevated Lü Zhi to empress. Yet Lü Zhi did not feel happiness. The man who had once been a ruffian had not changed his nature. He remained cold and cruel toward his family. Liu Bang's harem was vast, leaving no place for Lü Zhi by his side. His heart belonged entirely to his favored concubine, Lady Qi, and he even planned to depose Lu Ying and make Lu Rui the crown prince. Children are the lifeblood of a mother, and Liu Bang's intentions crossed the limits of what Lü Zhi could tolerate. These events completely transformed her perception of life, making her acutely aware of the importance of power. She developed a strong desire to pursue authority and protect her own interests. Through her intelligence and talent, she was fortunate enough to seize the highest power in the nation for a time, giving her the opportunity to unleash ruthless and bloody revenge on her enemies and political rivals. The ancient Chinese philosopher Confucius of the spring and autumn period said, "Wealth and status are what everyone desires, but a gentleman will not enjoy them if obtained through improper means. Poverty and lowliness are what people despise, but a gentleman will not use improper means to escape them." Filial piety lies at the core of Confucian thought, which has been the mainstream of Chinese cultural tradition. In ancient China, people were influenced by Confucian teachings from a young age, and their thoughts and behaviors were to varying degrees guided by moral standards such as propriety, righteousness, integrity, and a sense of shame. However, in an autocratic society, members of privileged classes are not naturally bound by these moral standards. This created the opportunity for Lü Zhi to carry out ruthless, bloody revenge and political purges against her enemies and rivals. It is this context that made Lü Zhi one of the most notoriously cold-blooded and inhumanly cruel women in Chinese history.